Hi, everyone. Welcome to another In Partner Masterclass. We really appreciate you joining us. I've got a great guest today. I am Mike Kirby. I am the head of our strategic accounts team at In Partner. We are responsible to help our customers grow their partner programs. So today with me, I am joined by Scott Sackett. He runs the partner and channel program at AvePoint as their senior vice president of partner strategy. Scott, welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Scott, just to start off, maybe give us just a quick 30-second overview. Who is AvePoint and what do you do for them?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And it's really great to be here and get to speak with your community and all the folks who tune into these great classes and the opportunity to speak. So I've been at AvePoint about 17 years, and AvePoint primarily lives in the Microsoft ecosystem, but we play in several other major hyperscaler ecosystems as well, like Google and AWS. And we really focus on data management and information lifecycle management throughout the entire lifecycle. So think about moving data into different collaboration systems like M365, protecting that data, managing that data, governing and securing that data, and ultimately enabling you to archive and take that data to rest. So really is an all-encompassing platform that allows partners to work with their customers every step of the way throughout their entire kind of maturity life cycle within collaboration, like in M365, SharePoint Online, and so on.
Yeah, that's great. Especially today, data is king. So great business to be in. Well, Scott, you and I were at dinner a couple weeks ago, and where this came up, and I thought it would be great for you to share some of your story and your lessons as you developed this program. So help us understand. We were talking about how AvePoint was primarily a direct business, and where you've come today to more of a partner first mentality. So help us kind of understand that journey a little bit.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating story, and it's not a short one. We've been in business well over 20 years. We started in the SharePoint space. That was our sort of core competency, and we were the first SharePoint backup and migration vendor in the world, actually, when SharePoint first came out. And if you understand SharePoint, you understand the nature of it. It was primarily being used by large enterprises all around the world, and you would have these, very expensive SharePoint farms, and really that is primarily how we decided on our go-to-market strategy. And we hired a lot of enterprise direct sellers, and that worked for a long time. As technology tends to do, it evolved and grew and changed and morphed. And SharePoint on-premise became SharePoint hybrid deployments, which ultimately became SharePoint Online, and then became M365, right? And we started moving from this, one application to sort of this suite or bundle of applications that Microsoft was offering. And we started, of course, building more and more technology to fill those gaps and help our customers and partners succeed. Now, what this ultimately did do, though, was it democratized cloud or applications, right, via the cloud for the SMB segment. And where enterprises were primarily using SharePoint, now everybody could take advantage of these applications. And that presented a tremendous opportunity for us. But it also meant that we had to rethink our entire strategy, right? So going direct to enterprise makes sense and is something that's accomplishable. But once you start thinking about all of the customers in the world, how do you, build awareness? How do you scale your business? We really had to start rethinking an indirect strategy, right? And that's really where it started from, this change from on-prem to cloud.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So that makes a lot of sense. A very common journey is you need to start getting more into that SMB space. Did a lot of this come more from the executive level down, or was this more an upward from down up?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of met in the middle, believe it or not, right? And there were sort of
Good.
two big events, right? So we talk about, this move from on-prem to cloud really, changing the dynamic of our business. And what happened was really two big things happened. So number one, as we started evaluating this dynamic shift, we started thinking about how to go to market with SMB. And we realized, of course, direct wasn't going to be a suitable solution to that. And so we started investing and looking into channel. And what we stumbled across was really managed service providers. right? And the MSP community really became the gateway for us to get into those SMB customers, right? I mean, many of them were not, were not equipped with IT company or IT staff, right? Who had deep competency in everything, maybe a few folks. And so they outsourced a lot of this to partners. And so we started rebuilding technology to really work for that MSP community, right? Multi-tenancy management, better licensing, integration to other parts of the channel stack, right? I mean, aspects like that. In conjunction or in parallel, we decided to go public, right? And it was a pretty big milestone, of course, for our group. And once again, as we sort of looked at this then from top down, and we said, how do we get to a place of not just continued accelerated growth, but profitability? We realized pretty quickly, of course, that channel was going to be a really critical factor there. And so, how do we, take really great technology that we've been, building for many, many, many years at this point, and get it into, the most hands possible. And we needed to build an army to do that, right? And that's really, where our channel play comes in. So, it was really these two factors, right? Kind of from bottom up, where, MSPs really presented themselves as this, incredible opportunity for us for this segmentation play. But ultimately, top down, we had to think about the next 3 to 5 years, right? And how we were going to grow our business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And of course, with any big change like that, I'm sure you've had some things that were wildly successful and some things that were not. Give us some of those, what things did you try that went really well, and maybe a couple of those that you thought might and just didn't?
Yeah. Well, I think once again, identifying that managed service providers were this really key gateway for us was huge, right? Refactoring the technology into what we call Elements, which is a multi-tenancy platform that enables our MSPs to be successful, with our products is really big too. But the other really key component of the strategy was, how do we now move from sort of like this enterprise brand, right, into this space? And what we did is we really leaned on distribution partners. And so they're sort of the missing piece to this story, right? So we started partnering up with, the partners you would think of, the Ingram Micros, the TD Synexes, the Arrows and D&Hs and so on of the world. And not only did we partner with them to help build awareness, we also started heavily integrating into their marketplaces, right? And that started helping us create the sort of scale that was necessary operationally for us to grow that part of our business. And so a lot of things had to go right. There were a lot of moving parts here. Of course, we had to be relevant to both the distributors, to the MSPs. We had to also help them build their businesses and make great margins, right? That's really critical for them to be happy. And so a lot of that had to go right. And thankfully, we found really great partners at all different levels. And we've been able to really build up our business.
That's great. I love that you just said we had to help them build their businesses. It's really it is this partner first mentality, not what can partners do for me, but what can I do for my partners? So I love that.
Totally.
What about internally? Some of that culture shift, some of the resources you've needed. Talk a little bit about that. Where has that gone?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has been probably the, when you said not what went wrong, but what was challenging.
Yeah.
Right. There's a DNA and a culture to every company. And we have a lot of folks that we brought in that were highly competent in selling directly, but not necessarily channel first people. Right. And, that sort of disruption can be really, really big and hard for an organization. And we've done a really good job, I think, from our CEO down, making it very clear to both the market and to our internal teams that, we're going to start doing things in a different way. And that is going to be a channel first way. It didn't mean that we just, pulled the cord. We've slowly started moving further and further into a channel world, right? We've set some pretty ambitious goals to the market, and we've been public with them to our investors and so on how aggressive we want to be and become an indirect company. And every year we move it up more and more, right? So our SMB business is really almost 100% direct, our mid-market a little bit more, right? And then eventually to our enterprise. And we're excited about that journey. And we've brought in, over the years, we've invested a lot in more channel-centric folks, right, with their background both in business development, in partner management, in marketing, all right, on the technology side, right, as we think about more and more feature sets to build into our Elements platform. And it's really been an incredible culture shift, to see, how we go to market and we think about our partners first. Sometimes even before anything else. So it's a great change, and we'll continue obviously on this journey. And really the dynamic shift has been fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest challenges I hear at a lot of companies is they want to do a partner program. They want to sell through the channel, but they can't get that internal shift. Would you have any advice for those channel leaders that are trying to get that internal culture shift to move, but are struggling? Is there anything you saw really work well?
Yeah, I mean, we did a couple of things and programs internally that we thought really were helpful. Number one, we offered comp neutrality on all
Yeah, big
business
one.
moving through the channel. Yeah, we really didn't want to be too granular in our guidance to them. Even like which partner they moved it through, or and dictate that. We just wanted them to get used to working with partners. Right.
Love
I
that.
mean, so that was a really big one. We really did go out there and we created sort of channel champions in every region. And we're a global company. We have a big footprint around the world, which means you have a lot of people in a lot of different companies or countries and languages, right? You have to win over. And so, we went out there and we evangelized, right? I mean, we really evangelized internally, and that was our job. Right, the channel team's job was not just to hit a number, but it was also to get your peers on board. And we worked really, really hard, both at the management level and the field level, doing this. And once again, because the sellers had nothing to lose by bringing it to a partner, it really helped grease the wheels. So I thought that was a really important part of it.
That is really critical. And obviously don't tell us anything you can't, but I'm curious, that's a very hard conversation sometimes with the C-suite to say, hey, we want to comp our partners and our direct sellers. How did the C-suite take that? And is there stuff that you've had to continually prove on to continue that essentially?
Yeah. They took it well because we came armed with data.
Nice.
Right. And we came armed with a plan. And I think that was really critical, right? You can't just think about it in a 6-month time span or 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Channel, there's old adage, right? You want to go fast, go direct. You want to go far, go with channel, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't be sort of just half in. You have to be fully committed to the channel, and you have to understand it's going to take time to get there. And if your entire mindset is that channel's going to bring you business and you're not going to reciprocate, it's not a good partnership, right? And so everyone had to sort of just come to that moment where they understood that if we want to do this and we want to be relevant for our partners every bit as much as they'll be relevant for us, we have to start sharing. Right. We have to start bringing them business. They have to start bringing us business. And we had to build out a model that showed, where this could go. So reciprocation is critical. Right. Eventually, we have gotten to the point where we've been more intentional with where we bring our business. Right. And we've started consolidating further and further into partners that have been more invested with us. Right. So, and I think every business gets to that point if they're on this channel journey where they start being able to really understand which partners are our type of partners. Right. And which ones are sort of, they're good, but they're, maybe not ready for us, or we're not ready for them. Right. And, that's almost as important as anything else. Right. Being able to identify that.
Yeah. And on that note, what are some of the metrics or ways that you can identify? Because I'm sure, and I know your program a little bit, knowing that you don't just look at your top producers, because some of those are just the big guys and they can produce. How are you identifying the partners that you feel are invested?
Yeah, I mean, so certifications are huge, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about winning the hearts and minds of the technical stakeholder at partners. Like that is number one advice we could always give. Certainly you want to, win over a CEO or a business stakeholder, but the technical people have to be able to use your products, understand the value they bring, right? So we need to get them certified. right? We need to get them through that certification path, get them the badges, get them excited about working with us on the technical side. That's one really key sort of milestone we look at. We look at product mix, right? We're a platform. We have multiple solutions. So which partners are investing in not just, one solution or maybe the easy transactional solution that everyone could really sell, right? But the ones that are more compelling and complex. So when we run across hard solutions or hard opportunities to tackle, what partner can we bring with us, right? That can help us scale. So those are, just two off the top of my head that are, I think, really, really critical.
No, that's great. This has already been great, but we're kind of coming up on time. So what would you wrap up, just a couple golden nuggets if our audience took away like one or two things that they should be trying?
Yeah, number one, I think I already mentioned it, but technical stakeholders, really, really important to win. I think that they are the gateway to many companies' success. The second one, I think we've learned as we've grown in the channel side, but it's not just having a great product, but it's having a solution that you can help a partner operationalize within their sort of partner stack. I have seen so many conversations go off the rails when they ask, someone, well, can you integrate with my RMM? Or, how do we easily invoice, right? Do you use marketplaces? Do you have a consumption model, right? These are all operational questions that have nothing to do with the technical nature of your product or the problem maybe you're solving. It's really, really important. So if you're building technology or you're thinking about your program, right, how to go to market, that operational aspect is almost as important as the problems you're solving and the business and margins you're creating, because partners want efficiency, right? They want productivity. It's a really, really important part of how they're doing business.
Yeah, that partner experience working with you. Yep, I love that. If I was an AvePoint partner, what's on the horizon? What fun things could I expect?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time thinking about, the benefits that people get from investing in AvePoint and our partner program. Later this year, we're super excited. We're planning on announcing some really big additions. Certainly, I can't display all of them, but I will tell you this. What we've really focused a lot on, and Kirby, you kind of touched upon it earlier, is not just revenue. Right. It's not just about how much revenue a partner can generate, because by nature, some partners are smaller and they're focused maybe on a region or a very specific competency. But we really want to focus on the value and commitment that partners are bringing to us and what we can bring back. So we've thought about this from many different lenses. We're also thinking about carving out a very specific space for managed service providers. Today, our partner program is a little more broad and covers multiple partner types. And so I think you're going to see a little bit more, call outs for MSPs and how we work with them and how we think about their experience with AvePoint. So we're super excited. We're planning on holding a pretty big event in the second half of the year to discuss this.
Nice. That's great. I love it. You guys have had such a fun journey to watch, and just for us to be a small part of that, it's been an honor. So, Scott, if people want to connect with you, pick your brain more, how would they do that?
Yeah, certainly go to our website, right? There's a whole partner section where you can write in. There's a partner at avepoint.com email that you guys can email into, and we're highly responsive. We have a team, of sellers and partner managers who are, really waiting, right, to work with you guys and enable you and onboard you. If you want to, connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm available on LinkedIn. Very easy to get to me at Scott Sackett. But yeah, we're out at many different events all around the world, right? Community events and channel events. So, pretty easy to connect with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I do have, it looks like, one question in the chat here. What kind of data did you present to your executive team to get buy-in, and what points were the most impactful?
Yeah. So I think that data that really moved the needle for them was what we call our capacity planning, right? Which is really about, how many partners we could onboard and what we think we can get out of those partners in reciprocation to the deals we're pushing through them, right? Yeah. So once again, I mean, partnership, true partnership, and I think every partner who's listening hopefully will agree with this, is about reciprocation, right?
Yeah.
And at any level, whether it's a LAR or a disty or an MSP or whatever, and reciprocation doesn't just have to be revenue, but for the C-suite, right? Certainly, when you're talking about giving comp neutrality, you want to be able to get an idea of how quickly you can recapture. And then ultimately, what we can get back out of it, right? So, we built out that sort of 2-3 year model for them to show them really, even with a minimal amount of partners we can onboard and we can fulfill business through. We believe we can get a ratio that's pretty compelling.
That's great. Well, thank you again very much. We're up on time, but this has been very helpful. If you have more questions, please reach out to Scott, reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect you. But thanks again, Scott, for taking the time to do this.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll talk to you later.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.